Look, there is a lot of complexity around because of the ability of the market to digest the amount of issuance that needs to happen. And the more rates go up, the more issuance has to happen. And that cycle is not a good cycle. My personal opinion of this is the Fed are very aware of it. It's why they've been funding at the shorter end of the market and in the reverse repo take the strain. You've seen the Fed net liquidity has actually not gone anywhere, which is quite interesting considering. So the Fed are issuing at 3 months. Why are they doing that mainly? And from what I can tell is if they're issuing at 3 months, they know that they have to bring down the long end so they can issue further out the curve so that their normal funding cycle is 3 to 5 years. So to do that, I think they want to undershoot on inflation. So I think their aim is to undershoot on inflation and overshoot on unemployment. So you see both those dials moving, and that gives them the cover that they need to get rates lower, to ease the amount of issuance that needs to take place and potentially monetize it, considering the next year is obviously an election year as well. So I don't think things have changed. I think we are later in the cycle because the inflation pulse from post-pandemic was so big that they have to kind of let that play through, and I think it will play through. So my idea is that this doesn't change. It actually, I'm with Rosenberg's camp that there is a recession out there, and it's probably Q4, Q1. But my view has been that it's been priced in. So I'm very much and have been it's a boom camp. And don't forget, we've had rates this high, and the Nasdaq's up 42% this year. That tells you something. There's some informational value there. Much like there's informational value in the bond market, bond yields at this point, so late in the cycle, being so high. Okay, there's informational value there too, and I don't think it's driven necessarily by inflation, but much more around these supply issues. But that somehow has to resolve itself. I'm not sure how it resolves itself. Now, is there a possibility of yield curve control? And they step in kind of like the UK and said, well, the market's not pricing this correctly any longer. Don't know. But really, we have to get to the Fed pivot, or at least the Fed on hold, ECB on hold, before we can get there.
Warren Buffett, known for his skepticism toward Bitcoin, finds himself indirectly involved in the crypto world. His investment in Nubank, a Brazilian digital bank that offers crypto trading, is paying off. Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway invested $500 million in Nubank before its IPO in 2021 and later added $250 million, bringing the total to $750 million. Nubank's value has surged to $840 million, outperforming some of Buffett's other major holdings such as Amazon and Apple. Nubank's foray into the crypto space, including the launch of its own cryptocurrency, Nucoin, highlights the growing intersection of traditional finance and cryptocurrencies. This unintentional connection showcases how even staunch critics like Buffett can't ignore the financial potential in the crypto industry, especially in turbulent times. While Buffett's opinion of Bitcoin remains critical, his indirect involvement through Nubank's success reflects the evolving landscape of investment in the modern financial era. It also echoes sentiments from other investors like Paul Tudor Jones, who see value in assets like gold and Bitcoin given current global challenges. The SEC has decided not to appeal the court's decision to allow Grayscale to convert its GBTC product into a spot Bitcoin ETF. This paves the way for discussion between Grayscale and the SEC, potentially marking a significant step toward Grayscale's spot Bitcoin ETF ambitions. The development also has broader implications for the cryptocurrency industry, with other market players eyeing spot Bitcoin ETFs. Bloomberg analysts predict a 90% likelihood of approval by January 2024, based on recent changes in ARK Invest and 21 Shares spot Bitcoin ETF prospectus. Grayscale has pushed for the approval of all ETFs simultaneously, which could reshape the ETF landscape. Bitcoin's price has faced some challenges recently, leading crypto analysts to consider historical Bitcoin halving cycles. These cycles, which occur roughly every 4 years, have historically seen significant retracements in Bitcoin's price leading up to halving events. This suggests that the current retracement could be part of a larger cycle, with a potential correction on the horizon. While historical patterns offer insights, Bitcoin's future performance remains uncertain. On-chain metrics show investors are holding onto Bitcoin in anticipation of the SEC's approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs. Despite the potential for a correction, Bitcoin's long-term growth prospects remain strong. Let's continue our enlightening discussion with Raoul.
Cycles, and the markets are moving to this period where they will become increasingly unstable. So I'm definitively in that camp. That definitionally pushes you towards more active management. It ain't easy though, right? If you think you're going to catch every single one right, you're wrong, because you will not, because something will catch you out in this. This is a very dangerous period, we think, we're entering.
We always talk about narratives, and what's fascinating right now is that there are multiple narratives. If you've been watching the most recent series of Crash and Boom, you've seen these narratives which are so incredibly different from incredibly credible individuals. You sort of think, well, how can that be? How can they be so different? You've had Raoul saying recession's behind us and off we go. You've had David Rosenberg saying, it's still down there and it's going to be terrible. And we had Juliet de Klerk saying, reflation's here, we're going to get reflation. And all these are plausible, and I listen and read everything that these people say. So what I'm going to do is go through some of these narratives and try and break them down. There's no right or wrong, because framework is the most important thing. And we've always said this at Real Vision, which is, some people want that trade idea. They want a one trade idea and run with it and make money. If I gave a trade idea out to a client, it would be hitting maybe 1 in 10 if I was lucky. But a framework is valid for everyone, whether you're a day trader or a long-term investor. So I'm going to try and break down those narratives and sort of look at what those different ideas are and basically go from there. So please do stop me at any point if there's anything you want to ask about, because there is no right or wrong. And I don't actually have an idea. At the beginning of this year, I said, this is going to be a really, really difficult year to predict. I held my hand up because I had no idea, and I still don't, which is why I'm using everybody else's ideas to illustrate that very fact. So Vision Creative Labs, that's us doing stuff for other people, but more importantly, why the divergent narrative? So what we're going to kick off with is normality. What would be my normality is, what is a normal recession? Because we're all talking about recession. What is it that we should expect? And there are 1 or 2 features that have existed in every single US recession without fail. And some of the narratives we're going to hear are saying that this is not going to happen this time, which could be valid. The first one is unemployment and recessions. Unemployment is the most important element of every single US recession since the war, and probably before. And you can see here on this one, every single one of these recessions in grey, you have this massive acceleration in the unemployment rate without fail. So that's the sort of one of those factors that you need to have if you're going to have a recession. So far, we're starting to turn, but it's a minor turn. And if you look here, nearly all those turns happen well in advance of a recession. So if we've only just turned, that would suggest that if there is a recession, it's still quite a way off. But the important thing here is unemployment. Now, revisions could come in and we could find out that actually unemployment was 5% today with revisions, but we'll only find out in 18 months' time. But right now, that's something we've got to be looking for. And the second thing people talk about is things like ISM. They go, ISM's in contraction territory. This is the manufacturing below 50. That's a recession. Well, yes and no. You can see here that often you get the ISM manufacturing deep into negative territory, so below 50, so deep into negative territory. But there have been many, many occasions when ISM goes negative or goes sub 50, and we don't get a recession. We've only had a recession when we've had ISM below 50 and unemployment screaming higher. In fact, there's only one occasion really where we've had ISM below 50 and unemployment high without a recession. That was this one here, which was post the dot-com crash. And that was because we were after it and was rolling back over on unemployment. So ISM is relevant, but it's nearly always coincident. But you need that unemployment. And then the third thing, which has been a factor of every single US recession, is that you get a tradable low on the equity market in and around every recession, because some people are saying it's behind us. Now, I'll give the caveats first, which is in the 1980s, you had little mini pullbacks in the market here. And in 1991, a little mini pullback. This is a log scale. But generally, you get big, big moves through, and you get a tradable low, which is maybe not generational, but something pretty impressive. So if we're saying that we've seen the low, then we're saying again that this is very, very different. But that's normality. That's what we would normally look for, and I've been looking for, and I'm worrying that maybe my old framework is coming under pressure and might be wrong.
That wraps up today's crypto news highlights. Stay tuned for more updates, insights, and analysis from the world of cryptocurrencies. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content.